Thank you very much, Chairman, sir. I wish to thank all the members. I'm told about 55 members have participated in the discussions and have spoken about the budget. I had stated from the beginning that my speech in the Lok Sabha was fairly long, sir, I admit, but it had so many things to say about, because all of us in the ministry and the Prime Minister himself have spent a lot of time between July, when the budget was presented, and now to look at the various ways in which various sectors who have been interacting with us can be engaged with, and also their aspirations met, because many of them were facing a lot of challenges. So in my reply, having heard many of the members, and in my absence through the MOS taking the detailed notes, I'd like to respond to most of the speakers, sir. But of course, I'll go through some of the initial comments that I have to make about what is our economy briefly, which most of you all know, but I would take this opportunity to highlight. The nominal GDP of the country has increased from 2 trillion, sir, in 2014-15 to 2.7 trillion in 18-19, and it has reached 2.9 trillion by 2019-20. The macroeconomic stability is something which all of us will have to keep in mind. The averaging GDP growth has been at 7.4%, and inflation has been at 4.5%. And then, based on RBI estimates, the central government's liabilities have come down from 52.2% of GDP by the end of March 2014, that is, to 49.4% by the end of March 2019, clearly showing a healthy trend in terms of liability to the GDP. Now, with all this, and also the various steps taken between July and now, the question often asked is, are there any green shoots? What is your timeline for recovering the economy? I'd like to point out 7 specific green shoots before I get into details of answers to some of the questions. The global sentiment, sir, is towards India in a very, very favorable mood, and that is seen by the investments which are coming from the foreign investors, which is continuing to show confidence in India. The net FDI flows is 24.44 billion, which was in April-November 2019-20, compared to 21.1 billion in April-November 2018-19. Second, the FPI flows, the net FPI flows in April-November to November 2019-20, sir, has been very positive at 12.6 billion, as against an outflow of 8.7 billion in April to November 18-19. The third is, we've announced a national infrastructure pipeline, and in that we've already identified projects worth 103 lakh crores, for which 22,000 crores have already been invested in the National Infrastructure Investment Foundation Fund, which also has a subsidiary into which, and also the Indian Infrastructure Financing Corporation. So with this 22,000 crores and market being leveraged with it, we are sure that 1 lakh crore can easily be taken for the spending on infrastructure. So then the industrial activity has seen a rebound. And in November 2019, the IIP numbers have registered a positive growth of 1.8% as compared to the contraction by 3.4% in October 2019 and by 4.3% in September 2019. So the PMI manufacturing, that is Purchase Managers Index, has registered a steady improvement, increasing from 51.2 in November 2019 to 52.7 and 55.3 by January 2020. So it was 52.7 in December 2019, 55.3 in January 20. PMI services, I earlier mentioned about manufacturing. Now PMI services also has increased from 49.2 in October 2019 to 52.7 in November 2019 and further to 53.3 in December 2019. So the next point is of the forex, foreign exchange reserves, that have been built up from 413 billion by the end of March 2019 to 466.69 billion as on 24th January 2020. Now, gross GST revenue generation has been a matter of concern for everybody. I'd like to show that the revenue collection is really improving and consistently improving. So month of January, sir, 1,10,000 crores, 1,10,828 crores has been collected. During April 19, January 20, the gross GST revenue collected has surpassed 1 lakh more than 6 times, and therefore pointing towards an increased economic activity overall. Just to get specific, sir, November 2019 compared to November 2018, there's a 6% growth in the GST revenue collection. December 2019 compared to December 2018, 9% increase in GST collection. Come to January 2020 with January 2019, 12% increase in GST collection, sir, continuously. So November, December, January, we've seen a collection increase. And therefore, the negative growth which was seen in the GST revenue collection between September and in October has been overcome. Now we have 3 steady months of increasing GST revenue. So then I go to the 7th point of green shoots in the economy. There's a positive confidence on the Indian economy. The secondary markets continue to be upbeat, and the BSE Sensex increased by 5.6% up to 31st January that I'm speaking over end March 2019. More than this, the lagged effect of the previous cuts of repo rate have started showing, and therefore I see that also playing on the stock markets. Nifty India Consumption Index has also maintained a positive growth. So then there are other indicators through which we can establish that there are definitely a lot of green shoots. Now, I would want to go into the details of the 4 engines of economic growth, which is normally referred here as private consumption, public investment, private investments, and also exports. Before I go into that, the whole set of details on that as to what we have done for bringing impetus to each one of them, I want to specifically go back to talking about the points that former Finance Minister, Honorable Member of this House, has spoken about, and all of us listened with great intent and keenness to know what is being said. So permit me, sir, to say there was more sarcasm than content in the speech. There was more sarcasm than content in the speech. And of course, some expressions which were used have been very effectively rebutted. I'm very grateful to Sri Ramchandra Prasad Singh, the floor leader of JDU, for taking pointedly issues which have been mentioned about masses and classes. So I would like to go point by point to say about that, sir. And before I go into the detail, just a light-hearted comment, if you would permit me. When all of us were equally worried about delivering onions, questioned about government's intent on making things easy for people who have to consume onions, all of us have been working on it, and all of us tried answering earnestly. None of us had avocado on our mind, but who had it, sir? Not the masses, certainly. So, with that, I would want to say also that a lot of assumptions were being put on us. The government is predisposed in its attempt to be protectionist, predisposed against FTAs, predisposed about the strength of the Indian rupee. So one thing I concede, sir, we are certainly predisposed about one thing, and that is not to repeat the faulty remedies which the UPA government had given in 2008-9 time when there was a crisis. None of that will be repeated by us. That is the predisposed mindset of this government. So predisposed we are, yes, but not for those items which were listed against us, but certainly for this. So the other thing also, the former minister was very obsessed with calling us very incompetent doctors. I will tell you who the incompetent doctors were. Sir pointedly asked, why didn't you come and consult us? Why didn't you come and consult us? So, thank you. I'll tell you who is this now. Arrogance, we are, is it? Masses, we are, is it? I'd like to tell you that this, sir, I've listened to every one of the members, and I shall definitely take every one of their comments and suggestions and answer. But not when you're constantly throwing barbs at us saying, oh, very incompetent doctors, masses and classes. I'd like to answer this, sir. What was the remedy offered in 2008-9, sir? And what did it result in, sir? We certainly don't want that burden on the Indian economy for today or for the future. And I have specifics with which I'll say this. Sir, India was very fortunate between 2004 and 14 to have inherited the good work of Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, as a result of which there was such a cushion available.
Anand Sharma ji.
Yes, truth has to be put on record. 480 million.
You can't. This is not going on record. It's not go on record. You are a very senior member. You have been in government. Would like to come into government. You can't sit. You can't sit and make comments. Yeah, please. Yes. Minister is former minister. Nothing will go on record, including what has been said earlier. Yes, nothing. Nothing will go on record. I can assure you, nothing will go on record.
The diagnosis of what went wrong between 2008 and 9, and the treatment that had been offered here, I would like to list out some of them. So the twin balance sheet problem is something which we have inherited in 2014, and as a result of which a whole lot of issues have cropped up for the health of public sector banks, for the number of cronies who have run away from the country, who we are trying to bring back. So that twin balance sheet problem is not something which I would want to learn from those very competent doctors. One. Second, sir, NPA ran into lakhs of amounts. We are retrieving all of them, and every session of the parliament, we are standing up and answering questions on how much has been brought back and how many people on whom we have taken action. NPAs ran into lakhs of crores, and of course the cronies have ran out of the country. We are getting them all back. That is another remedy offered during the 2008-9 crisis. We certainly do not want to inherit or copy those remedies of competent doctors. Second, inflation was in double digits. Food inflation was also in double digits, and consistently at that. I have read out the figures, but I will talk about the deficits also, which were during that period, the fiscal deficit during that period. Today, the FRBM Act is being shown to us. You know what it is? Do you know what you're doing to it? I'd like to quote it back to say how much of FRBM has been violated during every year of the UPA government. But we have not done that. So we have not taken the remedies offered by the competent doctors. On handling inflation, we have kept it well under 4 all through our rule. And under Prime Minister Modi, food inflation has never crossed beyond the acceptable threshold. Sir, flight of capital. And before that, sir, data and account fudging. data and account fudging on which we are most often questioned. I just want to highlight here, sir. Two things which I want to highlight here. Between 2005, 6, and 10 and 11, sir, every year there was an issue of oil bonds. The total of oil bonds issued is 1,40,000 crores. Total of oil bond. And that, compared to the GDP, then made up for 1.9% of the GDP then. Imagine what it would be today, but then it was 1.9% of the GDP then. Even today, we are paying annually, every year, 9,900 crores on these bonds as interest. That was the total number of bonds, the value of bonds for which we are paying the interest. All right, governments borrow, we have to pay interest. Understood, sir. Government's liabilities on oil subsidy. This is where I think we all have to see when we are talked down to about fudging of accounts. Government's liability on oil subsidy, sir, was shifted to the oil market companies so that their books appear nice and they don't have any kind of too much of overload. And the oil marketing companies were kept with this burden that after we have come out in 2014, we are taking that also. Contrast that, sir. Contrast that to what we are doing now. Contrast that to what we are doing. This is the budget presented in 2020-21, sir. We have shown both in the expenditure profile and the budget speech what extra budgetary borrowings are and where does this question of extra budgetary borrowing, particularly from the NSSF for food security, is also happening. We've shown it publicly. We've not hidden it, nor have we hidden it even from the speech. We've said that, and also clearly mentioned at the bottom as to capital infusion for public sector banks, which was in July budget up to 70,000 crores, is also shown here. We have not fudged any of these accounts. We have not pushed it onto oil marketing companies. We have not, kept our books nice and clean and pretty, but we've shown everything where they should be shown. And therefore, sir, very clearly, we need to understand competent doctors.
Yes.
So then, flight of capital. Flight of capital, sir. 2013, 12-13. I'll just read out net FDI flows in crores of rupees every year which happened. The net FDI flows every year that it happened in US $1 million or in rupees, and the percentage growth over the previous year. Just to say, 2010-11, sir, if I have to read it in Indian rupees crores, 97,320 crores of rupees. 11-12, 1,65,146, and so on. Percentage growth over the previous year, sir, minus 36% happened in 2012-13. Literally, FDI ran out of this country between 2012 and 13, sir, minus 36%. And this is competent doctors holding the economy together. So then, we were told you have a predisposed mindset about FTAs. You don't want bilateral agreements, you don't want FTAs. Sir, the FTAs which were agreed during that time have been reviewed not just by us in the ministry, have been reviewed severally by several experts, have been reviewed by the much praised chief economic advisor, who is often nowadays quoted by the opposition benches, even he has said that FTAs are harming many of us. It's all right, sir? And if FTAs drafted during that time, negotiated during that time, I appreciate Commerce Minister today who's spending hours on FTAs and the impact it is having on Indian industry. For negotiating such FTAs, sir, I would want to appreciate today's response in the ground for the competent doctors. Today, no one wants us even to talk about bilateral because industry is scared, MSMEs are scared. The effect of some of the old-time FTAs are hurting them. And I have no hesitation in saying that such people should have an interaction with those who have agreed with those FTAs, sir. Competent doctors again. Sir, then I'll come back. The country is accused today. Oh, harassment. Harassment is happening. Criminalization of, the acts, IT acts and so on. I'll just quote the example of one act, sir. I'll just quote one example. In 2014, I was a Minister of State in Finance. Since then till today, the number of amendments that 2013 Companies Act is going through, you can ask anyone in this house, anyone here and there, the amount of work one has got to do for cleansing the Companies Act passed in 2013, which has such a lot of criminal elements. Till today, all of us are bearing the brunt, and our first 5 years have gone in. Yes, we are doing. Repealing is what is happening. The criminal repealing is what is happening.
Nirmala ji, very bad. Sitting and commenting is very bad. Very, very, very bad. Sitting and commenting is very, very bad, very, very bad, very, very bad, very, very bad. Everything sitting and commenting will not go on record. Will not go on record. Please carry on.
All right, sir.
Don't join issue. Don't join issue
Companies Act.
unless I permit.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Companies Act,
yes,
sir.
Yes.
Companies
This
Act
is Parliament.
is written.
This is not a primary school. I'm very happy for the comment. Thank you. Welcome the comment. Remember that. Remember that this is not a primary school. Very important lesson to all of us. Please.
Sir, yes, when we are talked
Yes,
down
to
to
all.
you, we have to be like a good student.
Yes.
But when the student gets up to speak, it's a bit difficult to accept. I agree. Sir, I was also told, oh, look, CIA today is telling you how to, remove criminalization from, the various acts. You must listen to them. I wish to say, sir, as soon as I tabled the budget, I went for a CIA forum and invited the CIA to say, please give me any suggestions which you want us to take up so that the criminal elements which have gotten into our statutes will be removed. I have offered it. Please do recognize that. Sir, I wish also to say this, that the defense budget is very poorly allocated. We've not given much at all. And the Ministry of Defense and the newly appointed COD, Chief of Staff, should all protest. Was mentioned in this house. They should protest was mentioned in this house. Sir, entire Defense Ministry was paralyzed. The defense of India was paralyzed. They didn't have an equipment. And look at the way bulletproof dresses were not available.
Please. Sit down. Don't join issue with them. Okay. You don't join issue. Please speak.
Sir, the CAG report, which says about bulletproof vests for the soldiers, relates to what has not been bought during their time. And I, when I was there, had ensured every soldier gets bulletproof. And what about Rafale?
No.
What about Rafale? Why didn't they buy it? So, having paralyzed defense of India, it's very odd. A former minister wants the defense ministry to protest. I am shocked, sir, at the way in which governance is being treated. I am shocked. I can give with record when the bulletproof vests were bought. It was after Prime Minister came and he said it's shocking. First make sure that our soldiers get bulletproof vests. So it's all right to quote. Sir, then sir, we were made fun again. Toilets, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Madhya Pradesh example was given here, saying 46,365 toilets have disappeared. We were told that. I just want to say, sir, the state government of Madhya Pradesh has initiated a verification, formal verification process, and has responded to us to say, through the district collector, this is going on. So far, about 46,365 have been checked, and it has been found that only 649 were actually missing. Since all financial incentives in Madhya Pradesh has been paid through DBT, direct benefit transfer, over the past 3 years, any gap will be identified and filled on priority. Now, this is Madhya Pradesh government responding to us. Appropriate action will be taken against all those found responsible for any missing toilet, is what is being said by them. Now, the Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation is also following. Sir, there was also this, just as predisposed was attributed to us for 3 or 4 categories. I also heard the former minister repeatedly saying, ask us to believe. I want, please, the opposition, to believe your own state government. They have given this reply, sir. 46,000 gone, missing? Oh no. 649, about which Madhya Pradesh government is taking action. We would like to believe them. I'm sure they would want to believe them too. Sir, sir, with a lot of sentiment, midday meals, you're not giving food to children, was thrown back at us. I'd like to tell you with data, sir. I'd like to tell you with data. 2018-19, the actual expenditure on that scheme was 9,514.34 crores. All right, sir? Our government has been increasing allocations at every stage. We have kept BE for 2020-21 higher than the BE of 2019-20. And even the RE is considerably higher than the BE of 1920. In 18-19, sir, we had made a BE provision of 55,000 crores, and at RE, we increased it to 61,084 crores. The actuals were even higher at 61,815 crores. Just contrast this, sir, with just one fact from 2011-12. The BE was 40,000 crores then. RE was 31,000 crores. 40,000 BE comes down in RE to 31,000. And actually what it was was 29,215. Sir, I am not very good in Hindi, but somebody said this is not even dikhawa, it is chalawa.
Good.
I don't know, but if this is the way it is, I want to contrast this with the niyat of the Modi government, sir, where the BE, the actual, the RE are all increasing by stages, and the allotment and the actual for BE and the BE for 2020-21 is much higher. So I want to tell you that even the unspent balance has been kept in mind. So the other is on the midday meal. I hope I've said the actual figures there. Sir, RE of 2019-20 has been kept at 9,912.21 crore. The unspent balance is about 800 crore. Where has it gone? I'm telling you. The unspent balances of about 800 crores have all been adjusted this year itself, and the allocation made under 2020-21 is 11,000 crores like the BE. Not one paisa reduced on that. Sir, Shri Madhusudan Mistry, who's got a lot of experience looking into the budgets of Gujarat, and yesterday his elaborate speech very clearly highlighted very good points on which I'm duty-bound to answer. Sir, the differences that Shri Mistry talked about are because of the difference between gross expenditure and net expenditure. Both depictions are correct. For example, sir, in the gross terms, the interest payments in BE 2020-21 is 7,33,203.15 crores. This reflects, sir, the total outgo from the Consolidated Fund of India. Parliamentary approval for this expenditure will be obtained at the time of passing of the demand for grants and the appropriation associated in the post-recess phase of this budget session. So that will explain it all. However, out of this amount, an estimated amount of 25,000 crore, which Shri Mistry correctly pointed out, will come into the Consolidated Fund of India as receipts. These receipts, sir, accrue because of the premium that the government debt issuance commands. They are the premium, and therefore there will be that difference. So then further, the impact on the total expenditure, sir, and on the fiscal deficit will only be the net amounts, not the gross. Since about 7.3 lakh crore is spent while 25,000 crores is received back, the net impact is only 7,08,203.16 crores. So that explains the difference in the figures which appear. So I'll come to the deficit, fiscal deficit related data, sir. It's very important. Under Prime Minister Modi, sir, fiscal discipline is maintained all through. Between 2014-15, 15-16, 16-17, and down till B 2021, I will just read out the fiscal deficit numbers. 14-15, the fiscal deficit was 4.1%. 15-16, 3.9%. 16-17, 3.5, 17-18, 3.5, 18-19, 3.4, B 19-20, 3.3. Now, RE 19-20, 3.8, where we have used the forbearance in the FRBM Act and therefore used the window to escape clause. And we have shown a trajectory through which the glide path is established next year, that is 2020-21B, we have already put it at 3.5%. So, if this is what Prime Minister Modi and his government, respecting the FRBM Act, is showing as the deficit, consistently keeping it well within the limits which is allowed by the FRBM. FRBM is from 2003-4, sir. Let's just look at 2008-9, 9-10, 10-11, 11-12, 12-13, and 13 and 14, sir. I've given the trajectory between 14 till today. So let me also go back to look at 5 years. 2008-9, sir, 6.1%. 6.1%. 2008-9. 2009-10, 6.6%, going up. 2010-11, 4.9. 2011-12, I've read the future and present, and then only I've gone there, sir. Have the patience to hear it. 2010-11, 4.9%. 2011-12, 5.9%. 12-13, 4.9 again. And 13-14, 4.5. So, ours is a consistent list of coming down, and only when this extraordinary year, because of very many developments, have we used the window escape clause which the FRBM Act gives us. Also, there was a concern expressed. Your capital expenditure may go up, but your revenue expenditure is going up a lot more, which will mean that you won't be able to spend on capital expenditure, sir. Probably the Honorable Minister, former Minister, forgot non-debt capital receipts and only looked at the revenue receipts and therefore came to this conclusion. But I must here say, revenue expenditure going up always is not negative, sir, because revenue expenditure also includes expenditure on schools and hospitals. They are spent for human capital. And also, in Government of India, all centrally sponsored schemes, which total to 3.4 lakh crores, are booked under revenue expenditure. A part of which, sir, is used for creating capital assets at the state level, which that itself is 2.1 lakh crores. So if of the revenue expenditure, which is centrally sponsored schemes, 3.4 lakh is going, 2.1 lakh is going for capital building. There is no way in which capital expenditure is coming down. In fact, I'd like to highlight the fact the overall expenditure of Government of India is gone up by 16.5% when we need this expenditure now, given the situation. And this figure is actual versus the RE, 18-19 actuals versus the 19-20 RE. And the CAPEX has gone up, that is BE to BU, I'm comparing, 21% has increased. Capital expenditure has increased by 21%. And yet, more importantly, sir, maintaining this fiscal discipline, we have kept the fiscal discipline but not cut down. On the contrary, increased on capital expenditure. That is a specifically typical thing which I want to highlight of how governance is given importance by Prime Minister Modi. Capital expenditure has not suffered. Fiscal deficit has not been let loose. We are managing both. And that is the discipline which I want to be recognized. So there was this specific question by member from Kerala, Sri Ragesh. Borrowings by Kerala were decided on the basis of lower estimates. I need to inform him that borrowings by Kerala were decided on the basis of lower estimates of public account. This led to overborrowings by Kerala, which has to be adjusted at the RE stage. Hence, in 2019-20, the borrowing ceiling fixed were revised downward. That is from 2019-20. That is the possible explanation that I can offer. 24,915 crore, it was revised down to, as you said, 16,600 some crores. Sir, there are a few more points which I would elaborate on, the way in which the government has looked after the MSME sector. There are more than 7 different steps that we have taken. I'm not sure if I should elaborate on it, but 1 or 2 points which I want to add, which are absolutely new, which have come in since June. We have been making, July, we've been making a lot of attempts to make sure the MSME sector is protected. The latest step, which is proposed in the budget, sir, is that we have arranged for a credit guarantee trust, fully guaranteed through a credit guarantee trust, a quasi-equity which we can provide for MSMEs. Although given as a quasi-equity, the MSME sector can use it and raise loans with it and also be able to perform better. So this is fully guaranteed through the Credit Guarantee Trust for Medium and Small Enterprises. So because of this, we expect the MSMEs to have a bit of a relief and be able to carry on with their businesses. Also, we have ensured that the turnover threshold above which companies have to get their books audited, their accounts audited, has been raised from 1 crore to 5 crores so that MSMEs can have a bit of a relief given to them. Sir, also, we have raised the customs duty making us appear as though we are protectionist, raised the customs duty on several items which are made successfully and in good quality by our own MSMEs. We don't want these commodities coming into India, and they are not raw products, they are not inputs, they are not intermediary goods, they are final finished products which consumers buy. Instead, if they bought it from the MSME, it will certainly help, and therefore we've raised the customs duty on those items. Sir, Reserve Bank also has conceded to our request that more than 5 lakh MSMEs have benefited by the extension of the date, which had happened earlier up to March 31st, 2020. Now they have extended that date further, and therefore very many MSMEs which did not benefit earlier by the date extension can now use it so that they will not be declared as NPAs. Sir, further, we have also made sure that a scheme of 1,000 crores will be anchored by Exim Bank together with SIDBI so that pharmaceuticals, auto components, and certain other such MSMEs can benefit from these. And finally, there shall be a national logistic policy which will help the e-logistics market. We will have a single window. Employment generation will be made sure by that, and making MSMEs competitive, sir. So there are several measures we've taken for startups and youth as well, but I wouldn't go further on it except to say, sir, no one sector has had any cut in their resources. Just for our reference, I wanted to read out a few of the health-related achievements that this government has achieved. The maternal mortality rate, sir, between 14 and 15 was 167. It is now 122. Good. And India is treated as the faster rate, appreciated for the faster rate of decline than the global rate itself. Sir, again under health, under 5 mortality rate, number of 1,000 live births. 45 was the number in 14-15, sir. Today it is 37. Faster rate of decline than global averages. So infant mortality rate, which is again for 1,000 live births, was 39 in 14-15. Now it's come down to 33. Again, a faster rate of decline than globally. So increase in the number of MBBS seats. Number of seats available in 14-15 was 51,127, sir. Now it is 80,312. So increase in number of PG seats, post-graduation seats, 25,375, sir, in 14-15. Now it is 49,562. Health human resources augmentation, which includes GDMO, A&M, staff nurses, specialists, Ayush doctors, and paramedics for the National Health Mission, sir. That had 1.86 lakh crores in 14-15. Now they get 2.53 lakhs so that we improve on the human resources for medical. ASHA workers, sir, 9.07 lakhs in 14-15 have gone to 10.46 lakhs now. So number of PHEs which are working, primary health centers, which are working 24/7, were 9,131 in 14-15. Now they are 9,445. Last one, sir, 2 very important, which are incidence of TB cases in India per lakh population, sir. Incidence was 223 in 14-15. Now it's come down to 199, which is a 10.7% reduction, sir, in the number of TB cases in this country. And finally, the malaria cases were 11 lakhs and odd 2,205 in March 2015. They have come down to 3 lakhs only, 3,34,693. So, sir, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. There are complete details on every ministry. No resources have been cut down for anybody, but I wish to assure all members who participated in the discussion that the government is keen to work together with everybody, and we want the economy to gallop. Thank you very much.
Shri Jairam Ramesh, one clarification. What is it?
Sir, I just have one clarification from the Honorable Finance Minister. Yesterday, I had raised a number of questions regarding the impact of the budget on state finances. This morning, a leading economic newspaper had the following headline, and I wish to seek a clarification from the Honorable Finance Minister. The headline is, states
what is
may
your
not get...
clarification?
Sir, let me read it out, sir.
No, not necessary. Need not quote the newspapers. Ask the clarification.
States may not get GST compensation in full,
Right.
says Finance Ministry. I would like to ask the Honorable Finance Minister,
Right.
Parliament has passed a law which says that all states will get full GST compensation for a period of 5 years.
Right.
Is that policy going to change?
Minister,
Is that going to be
respond?
contingent
Please.
on the states agreeing
No,
to
Ramesh,
an increase in
please.
GST rates?
No,
Sir, this is an important issue.
That's why I
regarding
allowed
the
you.
State finances.
Please,
I
no.
just want the clarification.
You ask for a clarification. She is responding, please.
On the GST compensation for the states, sir, I have in fact answered questions during the July budget session, post that, and even now, I'm not sure what the newspaper report is about. We have very clearly stated, in fact, the budget speech, I have given a clear paragraph to say in 2 installments, I shall clear what has been collected till now, even dues drawing from the earlier years on the compensation cess.